she is. There she is. Hi, Maren. I'm happy to see you. I'm good. How are you doing? Well, we just ran into each other at one of those shows. I don't want to say the wrong one, though, so I'm scared. Is it Access Hollywood or is it Tonight?
I think so.
Access Hollywood. I mean, I should know because I know the girls there as whenever I roam through there, so I don't want to insult them by saying the wrong show. So if I do, whatever. It's on me, Maren. It's all on me.
You know what? It was fun.
I was so happy to see you because I met you years and years ago, as we discussed, when Maren was opening for Keith Urban and I was doing my Netflix show. So that was probably like almost 10 years ago. I interviewed you on a tour bus.
Yeah.
And you were a little baby and you didn't have a baby yet. And now you have a baby and you're not a baby anymore. But what I really have respected about you, is how outspoken you are. It really is amazing to see when you said basically fuck you to country music. And I know you weren't saying fuck you to country music, but you were saying fuck you to really the industry of country music.
Yeah, I think mostly just like the pillars of establishment where it's just like these pockets of like MAGA infiltration since 2016, which is truly like when I guess we met. It's just taken a nosedive, and it's not everyone in that world. Like there's tons of people. I live in Nashville, so I mean, I haven't like become an expat of every facet of this. I love living here, but yeah, I mean, it's certainly just tough, like to sort of want to make music you love and then deliver it to a space that feels safe and inclusive and, celebratory. So I think I just had to sort of go back to the drawing board and figure out like what I truly wanted to do.
And how did you come to that decision? Was that just your own? Like, did you have to discuss this with anybody in your life before you were public about it? Or is this something that you just felt so passionately about that you had to say something?
I mean, I think it was becoming more galvanized as, the pandemic was stretching on and we were just trying to figure out how to tour again and a safe way. And I think it just really like opened up a lot of blind spots of like people I worked with and just the community here. And most of it is so like supportive and loving. But I did have to kind of figure out like, what do I want to do going forward musically, which, I think I've always been a blurred genre line kind of artist because I'm just more about like the songwriting element and like it comes out how it comes out. But yeah, I think just making some like intentional decisions on where I like send this music to. And, the thing is like, I'm always going to love country music. It's so tied into my DNA of how I listen to music, how I write music. It's all through this like portal of like the Nashville way of writing songs, co-writing, lyrical structure, the like A-B of it all. I don't want to get rid of that part of myself. I love country music's honesty and like telling real people's stories. But I always go back to this interview in like the late 80s of the Highwaymen. So it's like Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson, Christopherson, Waylon, and they're all talking about like funding public education over, excessive military spending and, just giving back to the poor and the elderly, like these like icons, these outlaws, which a lot of these people will wear on a t-shirt. Like they don't remember what these dudes were fucking talking about from day one. And that's country music to me, which is like fighting for the oppressed and writing about those stories.
Yeah, I feel like that's analogous to like how I feel about America. You know what I mean? Like the integrity with which it was founded or with the ideals of what it was always meant to become is probably, you can say the same about country music. Like nothing is founded on hate and bigotry and exclusivity. Things are founded on love and spreading joy and messaging and inclusivity. And yet somehow we get mired, like like industries can get mired in this way of thinking, and then they can become dominated by that. And like that's how it feels like in our country. Even though I don't feel like we're being dominated by hate, there's enough out there that it feels that way. I always want to err on the side of love and believe that there are more good than there are bad people. So I'm just going to choose to continue to think that way for the time being.
Yeah, I mean, I think I will always have this like intrinsic hope and ambition that, I mean, humankind is truly just wanting to feel listened to and connected to one another. I think, yeah, when other like ulterior motives get cropped in, it's just, I mean, music and the arts are a mirror of society. And so when I saw what was going on within the establishment of like mainstream country music, not so much like outlaw or Americana, it was like a lot of these rich guys cosplaying as cowboys with like $6,000 YSL boots that have never touched dirt. It's like, what's the saying where it's like, those boys are all hat and no cattle? That's like, that's kind of what was happening. And I mean, like, it's just interesting because I feel like at the end of the day, we're all just trying to like live and let live. And I think there's a nationalistic element to America and parts of country music where it's like, this is ours, not theirs. And that's just not a vibe I want to be a part of. I want to be like inclusive, and that only makes for better music also when you invite inclusivity and diversity into it. Because some of my favorite collaborations over like the decades have been those out of left field duets, like when Willie and Ray Charles did their collab together. It was just like so refreshing, and it just opened up for better music to come in and rush in. And so I think the same with like love. It's like you have to scare yourself and be uncomfortable and hear someone else's point of view or walk of life in order to like expand as a human. And, you know, writing is just like my extension of that. But yeah, anyways, this is getting very, very existential.
Well, but who gives a shit? I mean, that is beautiful. Like we all want to grow and love and expand, but some people, it's like the people that are limited and the people that are closed off are not thinking that way. They're thinking about it's a narrow way of thinking. And when you go through enough difficult stuff and you're a smart person, you eventually understand, and maybe not eventually, maybe right away, the benefits of expansion and the benefits of growing and open-mindedness and actually going towards something that you think you might fear and learning from it. You have a huge new album called Dreamsicle. She's going on tour, everybody. She's going to the U.S., Europe, UK, everywhere. Tickets are available at MarenMorris.com. The tour begins July 12th. So I've listened to part of this in the gym this morning. It's really beautiful. It's very soulful. I mean, I don't even know how I would describe it in one word because there's a lot of different stuff in there. But I'm really just blown away at and I think this is demonstrative of what so many women experience. You came out of a marriage, you came out of, quote unquote, country music, and you had a huge growth spurt from what I can tell. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think
you also had a baby. So, I mean, that'll do it.
Literally everything that could change in your life happened in like 5 years for me. And, it was a slow burn of events like unfolding. And I think I was just hoping and waiting that someone would reach into my life and tell me how to fix everything. And when you realize on some of those like more isolated nights of just like not being able to sleep, and because your body is in fight or flight almost, I think I just had to buck up and be like, no, bitch, it's you. Like, you're the one that has to make that decision and figure out like where you go from here. It's not going to be anyone else. Like, I mean, I think you go into this like inner child mode of like, how do I get out of this? Like, who can help me? Like my mom or my dad. But I think, yeah, I realized I was expanding and growing at a really fast pace. I think from 2020 on, and yes, you could throw motherhood and the postpartum thing, learning about myself, not being able to work in that moment. There were a lot of like identity crises going on, but I think yeah, I realized like I can't look back and slow down for people anymore. I want to set my own pace, and I will sacrifice my comfort and like loneliness or feeling not lonely to move at the pace that I have worked really hard to move at. And I think yeah, it's not like a fun decision. It's not a fun aftermath or fallout of a decision like that. But I think now that I'm a little bit more on the other side of it, I do feel like no part of me ever wakes up at 3 a.m. and is like, I've made a huge mistake. Like, I feel like I sleep better because my body can finally relax and knows that it made the tough but right decision. And yeah, I think it's hard to know what day occurred that it all started to shift, but maybe circumstantially, it doesn't to me feel like, oh, let's throw the baby out with the bathwater, like, and change everything about my life. It just happened organically to have, all occur at once. But yeah, personal life, professional, all the shit was just like a tornado. And I was like, I swear to God, if I can like white knuckle myself through this and survive, this is probably the hardest thing. Like, I'll endure and I'll be okay if I get through this part.
I think it's so interesting that you say that because it's so true. Like I know through some of my difficult moments in life, you are kind of waiting for someone, like whether it's your agent or your manager or your sister or your father, you're waiting for somebody to bail you out, to come and say, I'll take care of you. And like I've had so many when I was younger, I had so many of those like kind of tantrumy moments, like somebody needs to fix this, somebody needs to fix this. And it's like, there's only so much anybody else can do about you and your state of mind, which is the first ingredient you need, is to have clarity and to have focus in order to lift yourself out of anything.
Yeah, I think I was just maintaining a level of stress and thinking that because I'm used to this level of stress, it's comfortable. And the alternative to that is so in the dark that it's frightening. And now that I've removed that sort of perpetual level of holding the fucking plates up and spinning them no matter the cost to myself and my mental health, now that I've removed that, I just see how much I was carrying, and that was so unnecessary and so unfair to me. So yeah, I think like the whole just rip the band-aid off thing is easier said than done. But I do think, yeah, if you just, even if you're operating at a level of like just okay or good-ish, like you don't know what great is because you've never allowed yourself the space to experience great. And I feel like now I can. And I'm like, you have to be like really okay with your own company. And I am. I could think that was always like the case was, since I was a kid, I can internalize and go in here. And that's probably why I'm a songwriter. But yeah, it's just, yeah, extremely daunting to make those choices. But, like I just turned 35. And I do feel like I'm glad I didn't wait any longer. It just would have been such a waste to myself.
Absolutely. And I think there's so many of the people that listen to this podcast are always calling in about that very question. Like, how do you take a leap? How do you move in the right direction? Like, what is the first step? And I always think it's just take a step in that direction, and then the second one will follow. But you have to intentionally be like, this is the first thing I'm going to do to change my life and to head in a direction that I'm more comfortable with and passionate about.
Yeah. And more people should talk about like even the little baby step in the correct direction or whatever is nauseating. It is, you are fighting every safety inside your body to make those choices, whether it's to leave a job or a relationship or, sever ties with a friend or a family member. Those decisions, at least for me, because I just feel so much like empathy and I never want to let people down, people pleaser. Yeah, it feels like you're going to vomit like every time you even take the tiniest step to someone else, like it's huge to your brain and your functioning.
How did you deal with any of the backlash you got from the country music industry after you came out publicly?
Came out.
No, like against them. I came out.
Got it. Well,
but,
I was like, that too.
Well, that right, of course, that too. But not. Who cares about that? About that. About
we're all a little gay.
Yeah, exactly. So, and if we're not gay yet, you will be. Okay, by the end of this administration, you'll all be gay.
Yeah, just date one more man, and I promise you'll be gay.
Totally. Somebody I was coming to New York. I'm in New York right now, and somebody's like, I have this guy I want you to set you up with. I'm like, I can't even think about men right now, okay? Just get away from me. I have no interest in a man right now. I have other things to think about. I'm like, when I get to Europe, I'll be in a different zone.
Yeah, maybe it's better. You'll fare better over there. But I mean, like there's backlash with like anything that you do that's not normal. So I think I expected, I also like remember very clearly the chicks backlash of like the 2003 Bush era, Iraq war stuff. So like that's like my touchstone of how an industry can blackball you or snuff you out or attempt to. And I think, it's slightly better now because of social media and more people can be like exposed to what you're saying and have the context of what you're saying and just, yeah. But I think I was kind of surprised at like how many people reached out to me
in support,
privately or publicly, in support, and just being like the courage that it would take to do this or just change up your plans this way. And I wasn't really doing it in the hopes that these people would think that I'm like Joan of Arc or some bullshit. I was just like, I'm just attempting to like be happy. And I'm going to have to make some major changes for that to be a reality.
And to be honest, being honest. I mean, you didn't have to say that publicly. You could have said that privately. I think there's a real power. I mean, anytime someone says something like that and is loud about that in a righteous way, you are paving the way for so many other people that you will never even know about, and not to mention all of the gay country artists that we've learned about since making that announcement. So like, kudos to you for doing that. That takes a lot of balls and a lot of guts, because I'm sure there was a part of you that was scared or a fraction of you that was like, oh my God, what's the backlash going to be like? And I'm all for that, because you're helping so many people that you'll never even meet.
Oh, well, thank you. I mean, I think I've always been a loudmouth, and I think it's just from kind of growing up in Texas in this very red state, lots of conservative family, and, being so mentally online for like post 9/11, the chick stuff, things that were happening within the South and in country music on a public level. With the war, I mean, the age of millennial that I am is like, that's when people really started paying attention, because we had to. It was on our TVs. And I think it just instilled in me this like kind of rebellious spirit of like, how do I build community in a place which is so red? And like, even back then it felt very quaint. Like people post Trump, it's a little bit different, but I think, even back then, it didn't feel quite so like adversarial, but it's just grown as I've grown my audience. And I think also like I have so many women that work for me and with me, and people of color, people in the queer community. So like that's my backstage and on stage. And then I'm looking at my crowd, and it's like each album, each like year, even, it's diversifying. And I remember the first time I ever played like New York City, it was like the Bowery, I think. And I had never had like gay fans. And so seeing on my first like EP, and we were in like the biggest city. So you're like, okay, this is what, the city crowd's going to look like. And I was just obsessed, and I just wanted more of that. I wanted people to come to my show and feel like they were safe to do so, and they would make friends at my shows in the crowd. And I've seen this happen like over the last like 9 years. Yeah. So I think part and parcel of building that is letting people know where you stand on almost everything. Like I think there are some things that like I don't blame or shame my peers for not speaking up on, because it's fucking hard doing this. But I think in the long run, and I've lost fans along the way, and that's going to happen, is you have like a longer career, you're going to lose people like the more that you exist and aren't just like cookie cutter and you're a fully formed human being. I think you're going to lose people, and that's okay. I think that's healthy, but you're going to like remain with the people that have been there from the jump, that always understood you and you understand them, and then like attract the people that you want over time.
Do you feel at 35 years old, this is a weird question. It's not a weird question, but it's direct. Do you feel like a woman?
Yeah, I do now. I thought you were going to say like, do you feel old? Because I do most days, but yeah, I do. Because I think I started doing this so young. I think we talked about this the last time we spoke, in an interview format. It was like, I've been touring since I was 12. So,
and you love touring. You love
I do
it.
love touring.
She loves it. She loves it. She loves being on the road.
I just love I love the show. Like the energy I get from that, it just feels like a healthy version of like the churches I grew up in. And I think that connection to an energy like that is just, it's addictive, yes, but it's also like extremely therapeutic. And so yes, I love the road, but yeah, I'm 35 now. I have a 5-year-old. I've been divorced now. Yeah, I feel like a woman. What are the boxes I'm ticking? I love living alone.
Yeah.
Like love having my space that's very sacred. I think just like not sharing a closet with someone or a bathroom counter. I can have all my shit everywhere. Yeah, I mean, that feels very womanly to me. It's just like the liberation of home and like space in your house.
Yeah, it's so nice to be alone, isn't it? It's so nice to have your own space and be alone. Anytime I have a boyfriend or share or we go on vacation together, because I won't live with anyone again. I hope I never do, until I'm in a facility. And and then I'll live with and then I'll live with my boyfriend who will be 20 years younger, taking care of me for a fee.
Your nurse.
My male nurse that I'm totally happy to pay as a transaction.
Sure.
But I didn't start feeling, and I guess motherhood also plays a very strong component, because I think once you have a baby, there is a sense of womanhood that comes on. But I didn't start to feel like a real woman until I was in my 40s. I always felt like this little girl energy, like, Punky Brewster-esque, like, oh, I'm still not really responsible. I have all of these things, and I have all these people that help me do all these things. But even though I'm running the whole thing, I don't feel like a woman. And so I think it's interesting to find out at what ages women do start to feel that way.
Yeah, I mean, I totally get what you're saying, because I do still have this like zest and like Energizer Bunny-esqueness to me. But yeah, or maybe on the sort of negative space of that is like, again, the people pleasing thing, or just like the performer in me.
Right.
In every element of my life. Like it's exhausting, but it's just so hard to break that pattern of myself. And like, even in relationships, like romantic relationships, feeling like they need the best version of me, like, especially off the bat, like no flaws, no downsides, like everything's peachy. And then you're like, oh my God, like they're going to fucking ruin it anyways. So just show them all your cards, explore healthy detachment. But I mean, I feel like a woman, but also like, I bet when I turn 40 in a couple of years, I'll be like, that one was an idiot, like the 35 version. So, no, I'll be proud at any milestone, but I do think like there is something, with motherhood, but also just like anything like divorce, where it's a failure of the promise and the plan that was made initially, but it's also like a success. And I don't want to like sugarcoat it. Like it's not fun to, go through this and like also in a public way, have like friends and family that you haven't spoken to in years, like reaching out to you about something in TMZ that feels so private, but like shit happens. It's part of the job. I just think I've earned my stripes through that.
Yeah, and you can also divorce in a very successful way. So it is a success by many by many measures without referring, to the end of a marriage. That in and of itself can be a success when it's not a healthy marriage. So yeah, our whole language around all of it should just be flipped and flip it and reverse it.
That's so true. I think also because we're over a year out now, like my ex and I, and we obviously have our son to co-parent, like we get along now and have moved past a lot of it, but we're neighbors. And I'm just so fortunate that we like have put our son above each other's shit and like can truly, and it's better for the two of us. If we're getting along, obviously, as well as like co-parenting our son. But yeah, I mean, I'm lucky that we love each other so much still, and we have like the highest respect, but also there is that like devastation that like two people that love each other that much, like can't make it work in the real world. Yeah. So there's like, it's always going to be multifaceted, but I think ultimately like we both knew it was probably going to be better this way, which is a success.
Totally. Absolutely. On that note, we're going to take a break and we'll be right back with Maren Morris. And we're back with Maren Morris, who has a new album called Dreamsicle, and then she's touring all over. So go to MarenMorris.com to get tickets. Okay, we have some callers, Maren. Are you ready, Catherine? Are you ready?
Yes.
All right.
Well, this first one is just an email, but Jess says, Dear Chelsea, I've been friends with this girl, let's call her Molly, for 4-ish years now. We met through mutual friends while I was in grad school, and our partners get along very well, too. We've stayed in touch a lot with biannual trips to see each other after I moved out of the town where we met. Fast forward to 2 years ago, she's getting married and wants to do a big bachelorette trip out of state. I took it upon myself to essentially plan the entire thing. She was relieved to have the help. The trip went very well, followed by travel to their wedding later that year. All that to say, I spent a lot of time, money, and energy on her wedding. It was a big weekend for me, too. The day after her wedding, my fiancé popped the question. He planned a little trip, and it was just the two of us. He did get permission from the groom in advance. When I got engaged, Molly was happy for me, but did not express any explicit interest in the details of my wedding planning. The next time I saw her was on a friend's trip 6 months later. She did not ask to see my ring, nor did she ask any details about my engagement, which is crazy to me. If I care about someone, I'm curious about a big moment like that. She, in fact, expressed some annoyance at the timing of the engagement, possibly taking away from the quote-unquote specialness of her weekend. About a week after that trip, she said she could not arrive at my wedding a day early for a bachelorette celebration as she couldn't get the time off work. Then today I receive a text with her essentially saying they might not make it to the wedding due to finances. I'm frustrated and confused. She has a great job as a lawyer, so it's not really adding up. Without a firm RSVP, how do I know whether I should plan the tables and a meal for her and her husband? And it's a lot of money to waste if they don't end up coming. Should I address it with her or not even bother? Sincerely, Jess.
Wait, so the proposal took place right the day after the wedding?
The day after the wedding, but like in a totally different place. Like it wasn't like at the post-wedding brunch sort of thing. It was like far away. And he cleared it with the groom, which I don't think he should have had to do.
Why did he?
did.
Yeah, that was the first mistake, clearing it with the groom. I thought it was on the on the grounds, like the brunch after.
Right. I clarified that with her, and she was like, "No, it was like hours away."
You could ignore it, but I would go at it directly, head on, and just send her an email going, "It's clear that you're annoyed. You've showed that you've been annoyed with me for getting engaged after your wedding. I did not plan this proposal. My husband did." Okay, so A, these are the facts. B, I went above and beyond for your wedding, as I would do again. Like, you say all of this with as much gentleness and love as you can, because you're talking to somebody who's basically having a little bit of a tantrum. And I would do it again. I was happy to be there. I was happy to throw your bachelorette weekend or whatever she threw for her shower.
Yeah.
However she wants to call it, or whatever it was.
Yeah, bachelorette. Yeah, you got it right.
And I was there. I was happy for you. It's really disheartening to see you being waffly about my wedding when you know that the costs that go into a wedding. You understand when somebody isn't going to be there. The fact that you're not coming in for my bachelorette weekend after I threw you one hurts. The fact that you're not sure if you can come to my wedding hurts. Again, I did not propose to my husband. He proposed to me. It wasn't at your wedding. It was after your wedding. Like, these are things that are not going to matter in 6 months. I would just be very direct so that you can get, really just call her on her shit and get a direct response so that you don't have to worry about it. Just let me know either way. If you can't come to the wedding, okay, that's disappointing too, but please let me know so I can save the money. And I really hope one day you can get past this because I find this to be very silly. We were all there for your wedding. We were all present. And now I feel like I'm being punished for being proposed to.
That's a good line.
Yeah, that's how it feels.
What do you think, Maren?
I think it's just so weird that all this happened, planned her whole bachelorette, showed up and like celebrated her. And then they didn't see each other for 6 months.
Well, because they don't live in the same town.
Got it.
Yeah, they live a little bit farther apart.
Yeah, I mean, Chelsea's right. I think just approaching it directly, even though it's going to suck to hit send because it's like, oh God, like I'm really coming at her a little bit assertively, but it does cost money when people no show on a wedding and the table setting and like the food and drink. And it's like just out of courtesy, even that alone, even if she hadn't planned the bachelorette, it's like you RSVP no.
Right.
And whatever. But yeah, I think just like be direct, and she might think that you're like attacking her, but I don't think any of us do. So just clear your mind.
No, and say it with love. Start it with like, hey, this is coming from love. I definitely feel some tension between us. I hope, and this is what I'm deducing. You can say it as softly as you want to. I'm saying it directly, but you can actually make it much softer. But why not? If she's not going to be your friend, find out now. And if she's ever going to get caught, people need to be called out on their silly behavior. She's acting like a child. If she's really upset about that, which she probably won't. She may not admit. She may pretend it's about something else. You know what I mean? Because it is embarrassing to admit you're upset about something. So, what's the word I'm thinking of? Trifle? No, is that a truffle?
Trifling, silly.
Trifling, silly, stupid, truffles, I don't know. Whatever.
I feel like also if she still is waffling after you directly ask her like, hey, I need an RSVP. And she's like, well, I think I would say like a no is okay. We'd love to have you there, but if you really can't, please just let me know. And like, we'll assume that you're not going to come, and like, let's just plan on you not
you could
coming.
Do it that. And just like, you could also frame it only like that. Like, listen, it's obvious that you have some issue with me. And not even get into the details and say, it's obviously there's some issue here. I'm assuming you're upset about the proposal date, but whether that's really not in my control. I didn't have any control over that. And you're waffling back and forth about even coming to my wedding. Right. While that's really hurtful, I think what you're trying to say to me is you're not coming. You could do it that way and like make it more of a closed door thing.
And you can even blame it on like the wedding planner. Like the wedding planner needs a firm RSVP one way or the other. So like let me know by X date, especially if it's after the actual RSVP date. Well, our next caller is Mike. He says, Dear Chelsea, I followed Chelsea from back in the Grey Goose days to Belvedere. I really respect your point of view on things, and you being a girl's girl is pretty cool. I'm a trans man, which I'm not usually comfortable saying or even typing out loud. I've always identified as a straight guy. I'm 44, and back in my day, it was all about being stealth. The world is different these days. I've been with my wife for 18 years, married, together for 25. We have an 8-year-old, and now the two of us are in the process of a divorce. She's been running on emotions, making it legally hard for me, financially too, and adding extra stress with our son. I never would have thought we'd be here. I took my vows seriously, thinking I was protecting my son and me. I have an attorney, but I'm scared shitless to see what's to come. Do you have anything to offer to help me maintain focus to get through this with my son, yet positive enough to not let all this negativity affect my well-being? I see it taking over, but I'm getting through. Best wishes, Mike.
Hi, Mike.
Hey, how you doing, Chelsea?
Hi. This is our special guest, Maren Morris, who joins us today. How are you doing?
I'm doing. I'm happy to be here, and looking forward to hear what you have to offer. I'm sorry, I'm already tearing up.
That's okay. No. So it's an acrimonious divorce, I take it?
Yeah, I kind of like neither one of us really did anything, so to speak, that really was like, oh my God, you cheated or anything like that. That really broke us. I think we've been together since we were young, and we didn't really have proper guidance, and we went through a lot, there was a lot of death, guilt, a lot of things that I don't think I appropriately dealt with it, or neither did she. And I think we were both a little emotionally irresponsible as well as financially. And I think it kind of caught up to us, and it was a lot of stuff we never dealt with coming to a head. And, unfortunately, this is where we are. And it's just like, I don't even know what to do or how to handle it. I realize I'm very upset and how things are proceeding, but I'm trying not to get angry. I've related to you for many years. Like, you've helped me through a lot of this stuff that I went through. Like, it was just like your show, Finding You, was kind of just awesome. Like, I would just kind of veg out and watch it, and it was a distraction from life. And at that time, it was just like a long time ago at this point, really, like work stuff, just regular life. And then I started realizing, I started not appreciating the little things. And I think a lot of it just came to a head. And when I was ready to deal with it, she wasn't. And now I don't know who she's become. It's scary.
Have you been able to have a conversation with her? Are you able to have a conversation with her about how you're feeling and about moving forward in a loving way for the benefit of your son, and accepting that the relationship is over, but also understanding that there can be a new relationship moving forward so that you can honor the family unit that you had?
I try, and it's I've tried several different approaches, because I used to, I know where I did my wrong, so to speak, was not taking care of myself. And I went through a lot of loss, and I had mentioned that I'm a trans guy. I don't think I always know she accepted that, but there was a lot of things that I don't think I really accepted, and when I was younger, I came out as a trans guy. I was part of this community in the city, and I would go on talks and really encourage people. And then it was I found this beautiful girl in Long Island who was really straight, and it was all about being stealth, and she fell in love with me and accepted me. And I just can't believe 25 years later, going through all this stuff, we're here, and our son is the most precious thing in the world. He's nonverbal, he's autistic. And he really needs us more than most guys and girls, little guys and girls, and it is a shame. And I don't know, I needed to become humble. And how I relate to you as well is there are things that I felt were so important to say, and I needed to be heard, and I needed to take a lot of steps back. And I think I kind of took them too late,
That's okay, though. That's okay. It's okay. All of these things that you're saying are okay. It's part of your life, and it's part of how you deal with it. Do you have a therapist?
I do. And it's been great to have that, and to see that help, and the self-reflection is amazing. And I mean, I have a lot of work to do, don't get me wrong, but even stepping out, what encouraged me to email you is I went and saw you by myself. That's something I never would have done. I bought a ticket to see you in King's Theater. My English was messed in that email, so thanks for cleaning it up, Catherine, because I was just so excited that I was doing it. And I was what, screw it, I'm going to reach out and just let her know it, so just that alone was a huge step for me to just be humble, to be able to walk in there, humble but confident. I lost both, and I think that was part of what she fell in love with me. And I want us to kind of regroup. I even heard of co-parenting counseling. All right, we accept, marriage is over, we're gonna, live apart, but there are so many resources. I even brought her to a rage room. Maybe we have anger or resentment, bang it out, hit some stuff, it's just I don't even know how to navigate this at all, And
Okay, well, it's one step at a time, first of all. You have to take it one step at a time. How old were you when you transitioned?
So it's interesting. That's an interesting question. I think I always knew, but the first time I introduced myself, I was very lucky. I was probably 10, 11, going into 6th grade. I was so lucky. I was in the movie scene Terminator 2, whatever year that was out. And I saw a girl that I liked, and she assumed, I had my hair cut short, and I was very, very fortunate transition wise. But now later in life, I almost feel too fortunate, if that's weird or not.
Well, it sounds to me like what you're missing is there's a lot of delayed grief that's coming up. That sounds like it's probably related to your transition and not getting the appropriate therapy going through that transition. You saying you were lucky to go through that, what the experience you're talking about would also kind of masks like, okay, I can do this. It was no big deal. And when it is a big deal, when there are feelings that you need to digest and you need to understand about yourself, there's going to be a lot of emotion around that you haven't experienced yet that is necessary to go through. Otherwise, it will tear you apart.
I think you're right. Like even crying, like this is new for me.
That's good though. It's good that you're crying. It's absolutely wonderful. Like that's what you need to do more of is cry.
Because there's out of your body.
There's a grieving process that comes with transitioning. And if it's not handled properly, this is the kind of thing that can happen. And while it may seem like it's your relationship, and maybe it is, there's a lot of stuff that creeps up on us from our younger years when we don't address them. So I would really encourage you to really speak with your therapist in a candid way about all of this. I would also encourage you to write down as much as you can whenever you can. Really start journaling about how you're feeling. And I feel like you're gonna realize that these emotions are very much tied to your emotions from being a younger person and that haven't been fully examined. And while that may not sound like a fun thing to do, it's a necessary thing to do for your future and for moving through this divorce in a more amicable way. And if you can approach your wife in a way that is really loving, do you think you can, or have you, about moving forward in a more amicable way in the name of your son?
I've tried, but I think my communication is just like
off.
Yeah, off. Exactly.
Okay.
I don't think I'm approaching it at all the right way, and I just don't know how.
Okay, well, can't you have your therapist? Can you have a session with your therapist and your wife and have her address the communication for both of you?
Yeah. Wow. Like I keep thinking, wow, like this is what I mean. Like this was incredible. Like I always keep thinking it has to be like co-parenting or this couples like count like something together, but I never even thought of that. That is an amazing thing. And I think you're right. My therapist, she's super supportive, and I bet you you're one session just to kind of get that communication.
Maybe more than one, though. Maybe more than one. And also frame it to your wife like, hey, listen, I think I have a lot of work to do on my communication. So I'm seeing a therapist. It would really mean the world to me if you could come in for a session and we can discuss moving forward in the name of our child for the purpose of co-parenting in the future. I have accepted that this relationship doesn't work for you. I am not going to fight you about that. And then you have to make that promise that you're not going to try and like get her back. And that's not what this is about. This is all for the sanity and safety of your son.
Yeah, completely.
Right?
I mean, I try and open my home to her, like even Easter Sunday, like it's like, even if we could just spend an evening together, wake up, let him see the Easter. It's two holidays a month that we celebrate, Christmas and Easter. A kid, we can't get that together, like I try and encourage that. But then if we're not communicating right and we're like being ridiculous, like he feels that, he's nonverbal too, so it's a little bit more of a challenge.
Well, he probably nonverbal kids know more than verbal kids anyway, because their senses are so heightened. Yeah. Have you listened to that podcast, Telepathy Tapes?
Yes,
about
I started
autistic
listening
children?
to some of that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
About
and
nonverbal.
It's pretty cool.
It's pretty awesome.
Mind-blowing. And
mind-blowing.
It's incredible. And it's like, I just know how many questions, and even hearing some of your stories, like the questions I had, like imagine what's going through his head. And it's like, there are just so many things that we just need to get on board on, like even his therapies and schedules and whatever it is. Like we just gotta be hands on deck. And
the way to get there is to get yourself in a healthy place. So you have to double down on your therapy, double down on your journaling, start meditating for about 10 minutes a day just to get yourself centered. Just download to Deepak Chopra's app, download Headspace, download whatever, 10% Happier. There's a million. They'll guide your meditation. They will tell you what to think about and what to focus on, and just get yourself into, it's okay to have these emotions. It's important that you go through this grief, but it's really important that you don't take this out on anyone else. Like that you take your wife to your couples therapist, and if she wants to go to one of hers, that's fine too. If she'd rather go to someone she knows, great, whatever. This is all in the name of better communication, and your communication is going to get better if that's what you choose to focus on in therapy and with your wife. So that's your first step. And then I want you to call us in about 6 weeks and give us an update.
Oh, gosh. All right. Homework. Yeah. You got it.
You have homework. This is serious.
Yeah, this is really serious. And it's 6 weeks. Definitely. That hits us right on the head too. Like we're going to be going back to court, and try not to cry. That's why I try to, segue.
Okay. It's okay. It's okay to cry.
No, you're right. And and I know she's good in there, and so am I. And it just sucks. Like, how do you like just separate that emotion, put the proper boundaries up to move forward, you know? And I think I never thought of that. So that's huge to even suggest that to my therapist. That's a huge step. Like, hey, just come, you know, she knows that I've been with my therapist for a long time now. Like, just come on in and just have it communicated and channeled in the proper way. That's a huge step.
Yeah.
That's huge. I appreciate that advice, because you're just looking in and getting me set straight right now. That's what I needed from you. I needed you to get me focused.
Maren shares custody with her ex for her child. So Maren, do you have any words of encouragement for him?
I mean, it's so clear that you both care about your son so deeply, and that's like going to be the thing that saves you through all of this grief and like the car crash that is divorce. It's like the worst thing you can go through, and it's a death. And I think now that I'm kind of on the other side of it, and we are great co-parents, and we've sort of let each other go in that romantic sense, even though we still have so much love and history, and now a child to like, you know, be there for. I think it was, I was saying earlier, it's like the person you marry is not the person that you divorce. And that is, you know, on both ends. Like, she might be thinking that as well. And it's just, that's like the hardest part, is knowing that it's not the same. But for your son, I think the therapy idea, and obviously it's your therapist, so she might come in feeling a little bit like ganged up on. So I think the suggestion of, if it's someone she's more comfortable with, I think just as long as there's a third party who's a professional in the room being like holding you to accountable and giving you tools on how to talk to each other, like, you just fuel all of that self-care and love and like respect for yourself. That is going to be so apparent to her and your son. This time, like, give yourself the time to like be, you know, a little bit of a mess. It's grief. Be sad, cry, journal, meditate, all the things. But I think, yeah, logistically, of course, like, get a session on the books where it's the three of you. And I think that's just an amazing way to go forward, especially like if it's before the court date and the judge, at least in Tennessee, ends up like telling you how to split the co-parenting schedule. And I will say, like, that's very bizarre, but also gives me comfort to know that, like, and I think my ex-husband as well, like, the state has given us this split and we have to abide by it. So there's no like, well, do you get Easter or do I? Like, it's in writing, and that kind of just, it takes us and our emotions out of it, which is really helpful for both of us. So now it's like, I won't say easy, and we do co-parent super well now, but like you just have to allow yourself that time to feel all the feelings and know that this is like a lot of probably residual stuff coming up from like your transition, and at a time it was so brave to do so. Like, before we had all the resources and talks about trans people, like, you were so ahead of that, like, and being a champion for your community and yourself. I think like rekindling that as well, like, go out there with your community again, like, go do those talks again. I think that'll bring you so much like empowerment.
You hit that on the head. So I recently started joining some trans groups again. And I was actually just, you know, so that starts actually next week. And
amazing.
Yeah. So you actually you guys are hitting it right on the head. It's like a lot of that did come up, I think, because I felt like a lot, and maybe even put that pressure on her, if she, you know, I can even get to that on her, like, that she accepted that. And like, I put a lot of that on her, and I put her on a pedestal that way. And now having a child, like kind of what you said, I realize what unconditional love is, not just with a child, with another person. And it's kind of like what Chelsea said, it's almost like a choice, but it is a choice, and it isn't at the same time. Like, when you realize what unconditional love is, it's incredible. And I know deep down she has that for me. It's just like what you guys are saying. You guys are hitting it on the head, and I appreciate it. Like, getting through some of that residual resentment or whatever that we just never dealt with. We never dealt with it. We just, I think, got together very young and just kind of kept shelving stuff and, you know, getting through, having fun through it, or distractions, just not dealing with it, you know?
Yeah. So, well, Mike, will you check in with us in about 6 weeks?
I sure will. I appreciate that. Thank you for that accountability.
Yeah, absolutely. Take care, Mike.
All right,
we'll talk to you soon, okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ladies, so much. I really appreciate everything. It really, I'm really going to take it serious.
Good.
Thanks,
Okay.
Mike.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
That was a very heavy phone call. Well done, everyone. Well done.
But amazing too.
Yeah.
Like you could just tell he knew a lot of this already and is so self-aware, but also sometimes, like we were saying earlier, just someone tell me what to do next.
Yes, exactly.
Well, our next question comes from Allie. She is 22. Dear Chelsea, my name is Allie. I'm just starting out in music. I have the urge to rush everything. I'm writing music whenever it comes to me, and all I want to do is post it on my Instagram to quote unquote prove something. I know I have nothing to prove, really. I know I can do it. I'm currently looking to get back into school since I had to take some time off from college for mental health treatment. Music has been so amazing at helping me process things and start to feel like myself again. I wrote a lot of poetry in treatment that I want to set to music, so that's a big motivator. I'm starting piano lessons in June, and I'm studying music theory till then. Any advice? What else should I study to help better myself? I've flown the rainbow of different self-love practices, but how can I practice the art of patience? Sincerely, Allie.
Hi,
Allie.
Hi, it's good to see you.
This is Maren Morris, our special guest today. Perfect timing for your question.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question because I think patience is the hardest thing for me to deal with because I'm just so type A when it becomes about like my decision making and like how do I get here? Let's spring into action. Just like the thought of waiting on something is so frustrating. But I think it's amazing that like at this age you've discovered these new lanes of like creativity and therapy also. I mean, I cannot play the piano. I can barely play the guitar. But like if I didn't have that tool to write songs to, I know there are people that can write songs without playing an instrument, but I just find it so helpful and like really liberating to not have to rely on someone else to play the music for you. So I think it's amazing that you have lessons planned. Yeah. And the music theory thing is also like so helpful, especially if you're getting into piano. Music theory will really help you with that. I'm like more ear trained with guitar, but yeah, I mean, I think it's wonderful. But I think when I give advice like to songwriters, the word patience is always the first thing I say, is because there's so many people. You know, I don't know if you're wanting to do this like professionally or like just have it for your own tool of healing. But yeah, I just think like giving yourself the time to experience life and be able to write through it, and also like give yourself those days where like allow yourself to write something terrible. Like that is so important, is to like tell yourself this is not a reflection of my talent. Some days I will write something that is so unlistenable to anyone but me, and that's okay. Like I got it out of the pipe, but like something greater is behind it, hopefully. So yeah, like be like, dare to suck, like write a bad song, write like a shit piece of poetry, and just be like, okay, that's off, on to the next one.
I also think on the subject of patience, I have no patience either. I have to work very, very hard at my patience. But I understand that impulse to want to share something that you think is great. But as a 22-year-old artist, you have so much room to grow. And I know that's not what you want to hear because you think you're great now, right? But you're only going to get greater. You're only going to get better at your craft as you age and as you experience more and more songwriting, and you sing more and you learn the piano and you learn and you get to know yourself in a better way as an artist. So when you have that impulse to share, I have to put this on social, I have to put this on social, sometimes you should. And sometimes if you just wait a day, wait like 24 hours, like start to train your brain. This is going to be a big favor to you as you get older as an artist. Wait a minute and digest it, and then listen to it again then the next day and think, is this really something I want to put out there? Because you're only going to get better at what you do. So why not wait and make sure that it's as good as it can get before you share everything that's happening?
Yeah, I think that's really important because we do live in this culture of like, if I made something, I have to put it out there for everyone to see. And especially as you're this baby artist, like that can be intimidating, to say the very least, of, you know, putting something in front of people. And I think there's power in allowing it to be for yourself for a little while and let it like nurture yourself and let yourself grow.
Yeah. I love all those sentiments. I have like with the urges, it's like this urge to like show the process and like how much I've improved, but really like I like what you were saying about like sitting on it and then also writing the bad music. Like it's or the bad music. Like it's all like a part of the process.
It is. And you should write that down. Just write wait on a nice like index card or piece of paper and put it on your mirror. And then really think it through. Don't do things like listen, I am a very impulsive person, but I've learned over the years, and it took me a long time to learn this. So you're 22. So if you can take this advice and really stick with it, you're going to be even more successful than you would have been had you not taken advice. But wait. Just like whenever you have an impulse, just seriously sleep on it, look at it again in the morning. And if you feel the same way, then sure, put it out. But just don't do things by like the seat of your pants. It's just not as productive as people think it is.
Yeah.
And Allie, like I will tell you a quick story about how I have auditioned for every single talent show that's on television. Like when I was a teenager, my mom dragged me to American Idol, Star Search, America's Got Talent, The Voice. They all said no. And I moved to Nashville when I was 23 just to write songs for other artists. And I didn't get a record deal until I was 26. So like, thank God I didn't make it onto any of those shows because I was so corny and not ready, like not ready to be seen on a public level by any means. And I just wouldn't have handled it well. But by the time I was like 25-ish, 26, I was like, okay, I know what my sound is. And that's after also like 15 years of touring. But I was like, it took me a second to learn from other writers in Nashville, like how to write songs and how to collaborate. So yeah, just like that was my patience lesson was thank God all these shows said absolutely not to me, because now I think I'd be cringing at and like trying to scrub it from the internet. Mm-hmm. So it happens when it happens. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really relieved to hear that because like I like kind of am sitting on that too because like I have urges to like sign up for like try like those shows that you were talking about, and I just want to wait like till I am like feeling like fully confident.
Yes. Yeah. Wait for that. It's coming. It's coming your way. I promise.
Yeah. And Maren, you bring up a really good point about collaboration too. I would love to see you, Allie, as you're getting started in this, like find yourself a community of musicians, find one or two other people who you can like jam with, like run things by, because it is such a collaborative process. And as far as posting stuff, like it's not to say you can't be recording, because I think that's a great idea to be recording your progress as you go, but like don't feel pressure to post right now.
Thank you. Yeah. That's really good to hear.
Yeah, well, good luck with everything. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you for giving all the experience.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
of course.
Thanks, Allie. We'll check in with you in 6 months, okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thanks, Allie.
You guys, I would review that as an A+ call. Call and deliver. Great advice from an actual musician, a successful musician, and me. Okay, we're going to take a break. We're going to take a break and come back and say goodbye to Maren Morris. And we're back with Maren Morris. I want to just read a quote before we say goodbye to Maren. This is with her new album, Dreamsicle, comes out May 9th on all platforms. And this is an album quote from Maren that I want to read. Dreamsicle takes place in the aftermath of loosening my grip on my personal and professional life, sweeping through the pits of grief, but never staying too long, and finding the joy in knowing that at my core, I'm still who I am, and that's pretty fucking great. No monster in the mirror, no shame-laden decade or unraveling what happened, just acceptance, release, and the reclaiming of how strong I've always been, with no need to dim or water down its essence any longer. Dreamsicle became less about the hard lessons and more about enjoying the bumpy ride and finding people who genuinely want to be on it with you because they love you. It's about appreciating and respecting the beauty and nuances of life while it's happening, not after it's too late. That's really beautiful, and I wanted to share that with all of our listeners.
Oh, thank you.
The spirit of your album.
Yeah, I would say so. And I wrote that like 3 months ago. So I'm like, I'm glad I still feel this way. Yeah, I think it's so tough to like put work out and be like, is this like your magnum opus. Like, you just can't think about that. You just have to write what you're going through and have the stones to put it out and be received and loved and critiqued and hated and all the shit. But it's like, you have to get it out of your body and your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, yeah, there is such a release in that, and not feeling like tethered to the past or the like practice of nostalgia, and just truly being able to enjoy something while you're still in it. Yeah. I mean, let's circle back when I'm 40 and I'll revisit that quote, but I feel proud of it.
You should feel proud of it. I'm proud of you. And I don't even, I don't say that in a patronizing maternal way. I just mean from woman to woman, I'm proud.
Thank you.
I'm going to try and catch you on tour. The tour starts July 12th and shows she's doing US, Europe, and UK. So get your tickets at MarenMorris.com, and I'm going to come find you, Maren, and come to one of your shows.
Yes. I know you saw me at the Pink show, but like, this will be our stage.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we'll be back. So nice speaking with you today. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Have a great day.
Y'all too. Bye, everyone.
Bye.